The challenge of painting glass comes from its transparency. Most light goes straight through the glass without stopping. The secret is that bit that bounces back. Rim lines, highlights, soft warps and shadows. That's the subject. I don't paint a glass or a still life. I paint light. In this video, I'll show you a simple old master approach. Map shadows first, place rims, charge highlights, let the midtones breathe. Do that and your glass will look real enough to clink. Ready? Let's paint light.
Alright, the key to depicting glass, particularly clear, transparent glass without any inherent color, is all about mastering the interplay of light. When light strikes the surface of a glass, carafe, or any transparent object, part of that light bounces right back to the viewer as vivid highlights and bright reflections. In this demonstration, I'll show you one way to paint glass in the spirit of the old masters. I start with value, an underpainting. For this stage, I use burnt umber thinned only with turpentine. The goal of the underpainting is to build the structure of the subject and shape the form. In later layers, I can follow this foundation without worrying about redrawing shapes, because that's the job of the first layer. This glass holds a drink, which actually makes things easier. A vessel with something inside is simpler to paint, and here the deep red wine adds even more volume to the glass, making the modeling feel richer and more convincing. One of the best ways to learn how to paint glass is by studying high-quality reproductions of the old masters. Carefully observing their artworks teaches you a great deal, and you can then apply those lessons directly to your own painting. Over time, this practice will sharpen your eye and give your work the same sense of depth and brilliance. Once the underpainting is dry, which takes about a week, I jump straight into the color layers. The warm tone of the underpainting makes it easy to skip a griselle and paint directly on top. It's perfect for the deep reds of the wine, as the warm layer shining through boosts the saturation of those reds while also providing a temperature contrast to the cooler tones of the glass. The bluish hues, in turn, give the viewer a subtle sense of cold, crisp glass. In the first color layer, the saturation is lower and the light reflections have a cool bluish tint. The paint here is more muted than in the final stage. My focus at this point is to model the form and basic structure of the glass, essentially following the work established in the underpainting. I leave the finer details and the brightest highlights for the next color layer after this one has dried. When painting more complex glass objects, like intricately cut vases or carafes, it's easy to get lost in the maze of details, reflections, and patterns. That's why the first step is always to simplify. Focus only on the main forms and volumes that define the object. Minor details can wait, and in many cases, leaving them out entirely makes for a stronger, more convincing structure. One of the best ways to find those core shapes is the squinting method. Partially close your eyes until the small details blur together into larger, simpler forms. This makes them easier to see and translate onto your canvas. It's a classic technique many professional artists rely on to reduce visual noise and zero in on what matters most. And remember, even with transparent objects, the basic rules of light and shadow still apply. The effect may be subtler than with opaque surfaces, but these principles are what give glass its sense of volume and depth. Prioritize the key highlights and the most important shadow areas. Those are what define the overall impression. The rest is just icing on the cake, if you decide to add it at all. When I paint the glass, I like to move from the simple to the complex. From there, I slowly model the form, blocking in the structure and outlines first, while saving the tiniest details and the brightest highlights for later. Those come once the first color layer has dried. My secret weapon at this stage? Playing warm and cool tones against each other. Take a look at the glass and the carafe. You'll see warm highlights where light passes through the glass, often glowing on what you'd normally call the shadow side. Then there are cooler bluish reflections bouncing in from secondary light sources. And finally, a fiery orange glow sneaks in, reflections from a fireplace burning just outside the frame on the right. That little touch of warm light, it's a trick the old masters used to breathe life and color into their shadows. The magic of glass lies in this dance between reflected and transmitted light. That's why knowing your light source is absolutely everything, because in painting, as in life, it all begins with light. The glass I'm painting here is lit by good old natural light. No LEDs, no fluorescent bulbs, just the sun and the sky, exactly like the old masters used to work. And honestly, that's why most classical still lifes have such a timeless glow. Here's how it works. The sun gives us this warm yellow-orange cast, shifting every color toward the warmer spectrum, while the blue sky throws in a cooler, softer light from the opposite side. That mix of warm and cool is what makes glass look alive. Now in the highlights, you'll see that fiery sun glow. To nail it, I mix white with cadmium yellow deep and a touch of cadmium red. That creates a bright, warm sparkle. Basically the sun, bottled up on the canvas. But here's the trick. Those warm highlights never sit alone. They're always wrapped in a cooler, bluish edge from the sky, and sometimes you even get full cold reflections on the shadow side. So the glass ends up as this balancing act, a tug of war between warm and cool tones. That's what makes it convincing. To mix the colder spots, I just cool down my highlight color with a little light blue. Boom! Instant secondary light. And if you pay close attention, you'll spot tiny orange reflections sneaking in from the fireplace on the right. That little glow adds depth to the shadows because warm reflections against cooler halftones give the whole still life a rich, layered atmosphere. That's the kind of magic that makes painted glass feel real. Texture is another key element that helps transform a flat painting into something that feels truly three-dimensional. Highlights are often painted with thick, juicy layers of paint, almost sculpted right onto the canvas. Those strokes literally stand out from the surface, giving the illusion of volume and plasticity. When the viewer looks at them, it feels like the light is actually bouncing and breaking across the surface. And here's the cool part. Rougher texture reflects light differently, which makes those highlights appear even brighter and shinier. Texture isn't just a technical trick, it's a tool of expression. The painter can use it to guide the viewer's eye, emphasize certain areas, and give them visual importance. And then comes the magic of contrast. Thick impasto paint on the lit areas plays against the thin, transparent layers in the shadows. That back and forth builds structure, rhythm, and most importantly, the illusion of depth, perspective, and real weight. Suddenly, you're not just seeing paint on a canvas, you're seeing an object that feels like it's pushing forward into space. Texture also captures the very gesture of the painter, the brush strokes, the rhythm of the hand, the energy of the moment when the paint was laid down. Every little ridge and relief tells its own story, and when the light hits it just right, the painting comes alive in a way that flat surfaces simply can't match. Painting glass is really about chasing light. It's not the object itself that makes glass convincing, but the way light plays across its surface. Warm sunlight, cool sky tones, glowing reflections, even subtle hints of color bouncing in from the surroundings, all of these combine to build the illusion. Add to that the texture of paint, the thickness of highlights, and the transparency of shadow layers, and suddenly the canvas stops being flat. The glass takes on depth, body, and presence. In the end, the secret is balance. Balancing warm and cool tones, heavy textures and transparent glazes, sharp reflections and soft transitions. When these elements work together, the painting stops looking like brushstrokes and starts breathing like reality. That's why glass is such a fascinating subject. It challenges the painter to go beyond copying shapes and instead capture the dance of light itself. And once you get that right, the glass doesn't just look painted, it feels alive. So that's all for today. If you'd like to dive deeper, make sure to check out my Patreon. By signing up for one of the tiers, you'll unlock exclusive tutorials, detailed breakdowns of my layering methods, behind-the-scenes content, and plenty of extra painterly goodness. The link is right below in the description. And if Patreon's not your thing, you can also join my YouTube community right here by clicking the join button. Oh, and for those of you who love my artwork and want to rock some cool prints, stickers, or other merch, swing by my website, matemerch.com. Use the discount code M8SALE at checkout and you'll get 10% off your entire order. Take care, friends, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.